How to think for yourself with market trends. Every time there's a new trend that comes out, news announcement, whether that's COVID, Brexit, Ukraine, Trump getting voted in, that's coming up. And we get all these changes and I get questions, Jamie, what does it mean? What does it mean? And it's great. I'll always do those videos to educate you. But the reality is, I kind of want this video to be like how to think for yourself a little bit and what to expect. Because honestly, I've done so many of these now. It's so much of the similar message that comes through, and I just kind of want you thinking for yourself. So obviously, if you don't know, this is a property investment channel, but I'll relate it to everything, but specifically with property and economics. So first of all, in economics, and don't worry, it's not about to get too geeky, I want to think about the fundamentals in property. And what fundamentals mean is what doesn't change. You know, Jeff Bezos, I actually watched this interview. Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, he said a great podcast question that I get quite a lot is, what's going to change in the next 10 years? He said a really good question that I don't often get asked is what's not going to change? Because actually building your business based on what's not going to change is a lot easier than trying to predict an unknown future. And I really loved that. And I thought about property. So in the UK right now, we have around a 1.5 million unit housing shortage. Just so we're clear on what that means, we need 1.5 million properties that don't currently exist. And government after government, a really big claim they make is how they're going to build this many, they're going to incentivize, and never fucking happens. Never happens. Okay, honestly, it would shock me if we got to 300,000. I cannot remember the last year where we built 300,000 new homes. By the way, that's 1.5 million today, and it grows and grows every single year because of number one, population growth declines, etc., immigration, and the fact that people want to live in certain areas. So there's pressure points that we have in the UK because we can only build legally on 6% of the land in the UK. What? So what are the fundamentals of economics? What doesn't change? The rule of supply and demand. When everything else is going on, the media, the newspapers, the fluctuations that happen, the reality is that when demand is here and supply is here, prices must go up over the long term. Factually, think about why did we have crazy inflation? Well, first of all, we pumped money into the economy. This is post-COVID, sorry. We pumped money into the economy, so demand's even more pent up anyway, because it was closure and loads of money. And of course, infrastructure was not really there, so supply drops. Massive gap between the supply and demand. And so that creates inflation, prices going up. So the fundamentals don't change. Let me ask you this, and you can put a comment. Do you foresee a time in your lifetime, your kids' lifetime, your grandkids' lifetime, their kids' lifetime, where people won't want a roof over their head? Do you ever see that happening where it's like, no, I don't want a roof over my head? We might go, well, the context of it might change, Jamie. The size of properties 100 years ago versus now. You're absolutely right. The context will change. But in general, I'll probably still want to eat food tonight. I'll probably still want to drink water at some point today. And I probably want a bed to sleep in. I don't think those economics are ever going to change. So, first of all, when thinking for yourself, have the fundamentals changed? And by the way, if that is ever a yes, then say yes and think about that. But it hasn't. Not through COVID, not through Ukraine, not through Trump, not through any other bullshit that we've heard of, has those fundamentals changed. Number two, if we think about the changes from the recent Labour government, so stamp duty, okay, and there's a bit of a hidden stealth tax there, but I'll do another video on that, so make sure you're subscribed for that one coming out. We've got stamp duty increasing by 2% for investors. Well, does that impact everyone? Yes. Does that mean suddenly nobody's going to want to invest in property? No, don't be stupid, all right? But what it does mean is who is impacted the most? Well, it's the investors that are buying the highest value properties. So if you're in my area buying a 120k house, that extra 2% really is not a lot of money. What is it, 2,400? A lot of money to us, I get that, but not in the grand scheme of things. Whereas if you're buying a £1 million house in central London, then that is going to be another £20,000. £20,000. That's a huge amount of money. Now, again, relatively it's not, but 20 grand is a lot of absolute money. So what does that mean? And again, this is trying to get you to think for yourself. So obviously, again, the fundamentals. Are we going to stop buying property? No. Are people going to want to stop living in properties? No. Are people still going to want to rent properties? Yes. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is a lot of those buyers in those high value areas are maybe going to move to lower purchase price areas. So the median house price in the UK is around what, 260, 270,000 maybe? Everything below that, I would expect an increase in demand because that investor pot doesn't change. It just moves demand across the market. I feel like I'm swaying with the boat there as I'm doing that. So this is what I mean by actually thinking yourself. Same as capital gains tax. You think, oh, capital gains, oh my God, that's really bad. Well, think about it. If you've got these alternative investments that were, they had tax advantages, but now they don't because property was already taxed at 20 and 24%. So's everything else now. What does that mean? Well, it means that property was already an extremely competitive asset to invest in. Now it's even more of an incredible asset to invest in. So again, the reason why I've done this is every single time I get newspaper articles, links sent to me, oh my God, this person said that. And it's like, if in doubt, zoom out. Will the property market be here in 10, 20, 30 years? Yes. Is there an agenda where you'll own nothing and be happy about it? Yes, certainly feels that way. But what do you think that does to the overall value of the market? I'm going to give you a hint. It doesn't go down. The final thing I want you to think of is what opportunity does it actually bring to you? So every movement brings a window of opportunity. The thing is, it's no change is good or bad. I want you to understand that and shift your mindset a little bit. Change isn't bad. Change equals opportunity, but you need to look at it as going, where is the opportunity? So I've just given a couple of there, like shift from alternative investment classes into property, a shift from more expensive property to cheaper property. So you should already be thinking, where do I need to angle this, right? Rents naturally are going to be going up. And of course, the final thing is what happens when there's fear? People press pause. What opportunity does this give you? Well, for the savvy investors out there, is to take as much action as possible. So if you haven't noticed, property prices tend to go that way. Upwards, by the way, not downwards. Yes, it's a jittery line as you go in, but in general, it goes there. And what this will cause is a very small pause. If it's anything like 2016, when that stamp duty 3% edition come in, it was about a 3-month window. So you've got a 3-month window where that demand might shrink a little bit, where you can take advantage and get properties at a really solid market value today, knowing that when that window of opportunity closes, the dust has settled, everyone's got to the new way of doing things, and then you've got to compete with everyone else. And honestly, it baffles me every time I'll do this video or get comments like, buy to let's dead now and all of that. If that's you, just leave the comment now, it's all good. And then the reality is, 6 months later, 12 months later, the property prices in those areas that I've been talking about have gone up 10%. And they go, it's too late, we should have invested a year ago. The reality is, it will never be too late, but there are windows of opportunities. And I hope this video just gets you thinking for yourself a little bit, instead of relying on a newspaper article that has one agenda, and that is propaganda and selling you the newspaper in the first place. Think for yourself. I think that the problem is that generationally we seem to think about us for ourselves less and less, and I want to start to shift that. So those are some examples. Let me know what changes have happened in the last few months that you think will impact something, and what are your thoughts on it? Share it in the comments. Let's create a community around this where we can all create freedom of thought and how we're going to help each other. And the reality is, if you want to take advantage of this window of opportunity, then I want to help you get there. If you're ready to invest in property, you need 50k, around 50, 55k per property to invest. So you need that as a minimum. If you want help doing that, put APG in the comments. That stands for Aspire Property Group. APG. We'll love to have a free one-to-one chat with you, and we'll help guide you and navigate this and actually help you understand how these changes can benefit you and help you build your property portfolio today. APG in the comments. I'll chat to you later.